Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special Memorial Day edition of VetLine Radio. I'm your host, Uncle Whit, and with me is Natron Don.
Heyo.
Are you playing this? Oh man. Start over.
I'm
Stop.
sorry.
Stop.
Okay. Well, I'll just edit
Alright.
this.
Oh, wait, what?
I'll just edit it out.
Oh, now I'm all jacked up.
Okay, then we'll start on a three count.
Well, look, damn it. Can we go one more time? Can we just stop and then try again?
No, well, the thing is, then I have to make an entire new hangout. Does that make sense?
Oh, right. Okay, so we're all private though, right?
Yeah. Well, sort of. Nobody's really watching. Like, as time passes, like if somebody's watching now, they can watch us say this, but it's not recording. Like they can't go back and watch us from the beginning yet.
Okay.
And when they do, that's private.
Okay, hold on. I got all jacked up because
We start on a three count, man.
no, hold on.
This is what I think is actually going to be cool about this. Is even if we post this part on YouTube, it shows like a cool behind the scenes kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In a weird way, it's like you could listen on YouTube and get the actual rawness, or you could get the edited version on our everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I think it'd be kind of a cool little thing. Maybe we suck and they see how bad we suck at it. Especially last episode when I'm like, and then did you hear how I edited that shit, dude? I made a song.
Well, I got Taps playing again. It started playing over in my headphones because I didn't turn YouTube off.
Yeah.
But Taps kills me.
Yeah. I do remember. Well, let's start and then we'll talk about it. I don't want to ask.
I'll tell you.
That's a good intro though. Start you intro us, and do all that good stuff. I'm gonna count you in. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, on 3, 2, 1, light.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special Memorial Day edition of VetLine Radio. I'm your host, Uncle Whit, and with me is the Natron Don.
Heyo.
Tonight we're gonna honor our fallen, honor those brothers and sisters that couldn't make it back, those that made the ultimate sacrifice. But we're going to try to have some fun and tell some stories and lighten the mood, because as somber as the day is, what gets us through the hard times every time as active duty members and as veterans is hopefully the laughter and the love that we share. And that bond, it can never be broken. So let's start with the laughter. Nate, you got a joke for me? Because Taps always gets me right in the guts.
I don't have a joke, but I do. Every time Taps comes on, ever since I was in boot camp and it was dark at night and you can hear it kind of go off and you stop and you face the music and all that stuff. I guess at the beginning, as a young person, you don't understand. You feel this wave of emotion, but it's almost like I'm in the reality of wearing this uniform. But now it's this whole weird nostalgic wave. Like the feelings are so much more complex. I think of all these people that I know that I've served with. I think of people that are no longer with us. I start thinking about individuals who I know who have served, who have passed, who were in wars past. My relatives, all these other things start coming into play now that when I listen to Taps, it's such a more mature, complex feeling than when I first entered the military and kind of joined this elite club. And my appreciation has grown with my appreciation for that piece, taps.
Your appreciation has grown with your ears as you age.
Exactly. I guess like most things.
Yeah, speak just of music. Thinking about boot camp, um, you don't hear any music like for so long. All you
Hmm.
hear is colors and tabs. And I remember the first time I heard tabs in boot camp, just to hear music. You know, I guess not like the national anthem. Not that I didn't love the national anthem,
Right.
but kind of like you mentioned, there's a certain weight. At the end of the day, when the sun is going down and they're taking down the colors, to hear
Hmm.
taps, there's a weight um, that when you're in boot camp, especially, it's now your weight to bear. You're now a part of the weight bearers
Right.
of whatever you want to call it, freedom or democracy or whatever tradition has been established.
Hmm.
And so hearing that just as a piece of music, but then feeling that aspect. But I remember when we first started drilling, and it started like in the squad bay, and the drill instructors put up, you know, this snare drum cadence music. And
Right.
man, when I heard that, oh, it was a beat, son. Like I was bopping around and shit. Like I'm in step and we're marching around in circles, but like man, my guts are just it's a
Right.
and I'm just going, just hit that drum beat, son.
Right.
Loving every second of it. But
Right.
but yeah, just back to taps. Like after I got out of boot camp, I was walking around uh, NTC Great Lakes there, probably getting
Right.
some McDonald's or something, and hit taps like at just the right moment. I can remember exactly where I was. I remember what the temperature was, and you know,
It was
like
extreme, whatever it was. It was
it,
either super cold or super hot.
it was heavy duty,
Yeah.
and I think that was the first time, like even being out of boot camp, like the fear was kind of over. Not the fear, just the intimidation factor. You have a little
Right.
more leeway and everything,
The
and
intensity.
yeah, but the intensity of taps was kind of magnified
Hmm.
in that I've got orders, man. I'm going to command. I'm going to be doing things, and that taps. I mean, I just you pray that you have big enough shoulders.
Right. I think also comes to mind is in a weird way, especially now that I'm becoming more active in my local American Legion post, is veterans that I can remember from the past, say teachers or individuals from my church or that were veterans, and I I remember and I feel like I understand a little bit more about them. And then now that when TAPS comes along, you I feel like now there's a that's I feel a more of a connection, if in a weird way, to those people.
Right, because
Nostalgia.
it's sacrifice,
Right.
and everybody that joins, and seriously, everybody that joins, you're ready. Even if
Mhm.
you're not, it's not up to you at that point. You know, you might have to make the ultimate sacrifice, but if you didn't, and you have the luxury of being a part of a stupid podcast with your old military buddy,
Right.
then you carry with you the weight and the memory of the people that didn't make it home, and those that did it in the past, those that didn't make it home from the very beginning of this strange country's inception.
Hmm.
You know, they somebody somewhere and somebody close to you, in that kind of way had to die to make this thing continue to work. To to give people the comfort to even take it for granted, you know. And
Right.
that's the way to taps to me.
That's right. It's kind of strange. We could talk for hours about, I
about
guess, our first world problems.
taps.
Right.
but
Right.
but we're supposed to be an entertaining show, right?
I guess so. And so, in that respect, I think what we kind of wanted to do with this episode was we wanted to illuminate first the feeling and the purpose of this holiday, Memorial Day. We played taps. We want everybody to feel like they are a part, or our veteran tribesmen. We want to remind them to remember, right? That's what
Well,
this holiday is
I'll,
for.
I'll even take it a step further. I think
Okay.
our tribesmen don't need any reminding of the
Hmm.
weight of taps. I think it's any civilian counterpart that might be tuning in
Right.
that probably needs to have a some kind of proxy understanding
You're
of
absolutely right.
why taps is important, because Memorial Day is not Veterans Day. Veterans have their own holiday.
You're right.
Memorial Day is is for those that didn't make it home. And
Mhm.
I already said, the ultimate sacrifice. I think that's a played out cliche, um, but it is. Like any cliche, it's the ultimate sacrifice, and it's the ultimate show of devotion to whatever cause it is, right or wrong. And
Mm.
there's a select few. The number is getting smaller and smaller, as we've talked about.
Mm.
But there's a select few that can, wear the hat, that have been able to serve next to the people that made that sacrifice,
Mm.
the people that can't be with us today, drinking some beer and telling some jokes.
Right. Thank you for that. Yes. And so I think what we want to do is, as veterans, we are fairly experienced in the ways of remembering, especially those who have gone before us. We have kind of a very strict system of ceremonies, and we pass down history fairly well. And so I thought we could try with this particular episode is maybe remembering a couple strategies on how to remember and some points in our lives, maybe some emotions that we all feel, and trying to remember them and inspire us to grow off of those things. And so, kind of expanding off of the theme of remembering and remembrance and memorializing, we're going to start. I want to remember some things, some points in our life that are important to us that we can grow off of, that maybe we all experience and could maybe discuss. First and foremost, though, Uncle Whit, let's just anything particularly special or unique happened for you this week? Just to get off the bat, let's get loose, man. Let's get the conversation going.
All right, all right. Well, yeah, it did. I was at work doing my thing, and my wife texted me, and Slick Rick came to town.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's ooh.
it was really unusual, considering how small a town this is. And I thought it was a joke at first, but no, turned out to be right on point. So
Mhm.
this hip hop legend comes through, plays a bar that he never should have played at ever in his life, and I felt bad for him. And the set definitely reflected him feeling bad for himself because it was
Right.
a horrible show. Sorry, Rick. Um, like you had an opportunity, you, Rick.
Mr.
you had
Slick.
you had yeah, the ruler. Let me tell you something, Mr. Ruler. You had an opportunity to make a bunch of small town yokels who love old school hip hop. Yeah, you had an opportunity to make their, year, dude, and you blew it. You
uh,
really did. Um, I have a couple comparisons I won't bore anyone with, but he really did. And
Sorry, Mr. Rick.
on that note, a good old friend of mine, old school, friend that I used to do music with,
Hmm.
walked in the door while Slick Rick was on stage, And as soon as he walked in, my friend's face, it lit up, man. Because this was a big deal for us. We've got eyes on Slick Rick.
Right.
And as soon as this guy walked in, Slick Rick dropped the mic, was like, "I'm out," and walked off stage. So I can only surmise that Rick could not stand to be in the same room as a better MC than himself, and just had to call it quits at that exact moment.
Right.
But I got to spend some time with this guy. We had a really good time. Got to bury a hatchet, surround ourselves and insulate ourselves with a lot of love, and had some pizza.
Where?
And then woke up with a ding-a-ling on my text message, and it was my lovely wife texting me to call her, and so I did. And turns out, when rappers come to town, you get news of baby number 2 on the way.
Very good. Very good. Very cool. Ironic.
What do you know?
Not really. Ironic's not the word. I just like to use that word. And it's like saying literally. I've come to appreciate the kind of reflexive and loose use of these words.
Literally.
Yeah, anything's ironic and everything.
It was the worst.
It was the worst.
Yeah, I say that way too much.
I hate, yeah.
Because it was never the worst. And
or the best ever. It's
Yeah.
the worst ever. That's another one.
Ever.
That's how I say it.
But if you get to say it was the best or the worst ever, then you also know that you probably haven't had the best or the worst ever.
In some ways, you can appreciate the appreciation of the simplicity of it.
You have the luxury to have a stupid opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
I myself, I guess to start off, I would like to congratulate all our 2015 graduates, not of high school, but particularly of college. High school, if you're graduating high school, you're supposed to do that. That's part of your job. Congratulations. Carry on with your life like nothing ever happened. But thank everybody for giving you money and all the gifts and parties and all that good stuff. Appreciate that other people appreciate you, but it doesn't really matter.
I'll go a step further and be the curmudgeon of the day. And this I'm gonna get very curmudgeonly, so put your diaper on. You graduated high school, and you're welcome, because
hey, I like that.
Because people died, so you don't have to bust your knuckles on a fucking industrial sewing machine, working in the coal mines, like that kind of thing. You graduated high school, fair enough. I mean, you barely deserve a good job. I won't go that far. I mean, yeah, good job. That's, like you, all right, good job. So,
it's unfortunate that that's the only real rite of passage I feel the American culture has, though.
Right. Well, if you don't think that your aptitude is good enough to go to college and graduate and deserve Natron Don's thanks of congratulations to all our college graduates, then join the fucking military, because you'll learn a thing or two and you'll get motivated.
Right.
And you'll get to one day enjoy taps on a non-peripheral movie level. And that's a great honor.
It is.
And then you can get your own podcast and say to everybody else, good job graduating high school, go fuck yourself. So.
Right.
Soapbox.
So.
Congratulations to the who, what?
To the college graduates, including my wife. She graduated with her graduate degree. Excuse me.
Right.
And so it was nice. My in-laws came into town. We had a night. I got to spend I have a little bit of free time now that the semester's over. Got to spend time with the family. The only difficulty that I really had with spending time with the family was all the pictures that is involved with any social activity. It's ruining my life.
Oh,
It's
the pictures?
ruining. Yeah, the pictures are. We're enough with the pictures. They're ruining all social occasions.
You say that now.
Well, I don't. Okay, if you know me, I'm not
Someday
really.
you're going to be old as shit and you're going to be sitting around going, I can't remember a goddamn thing. Have I even been alive this whole time? And
No,
then
we remember
and then
them
one of you
because I was
beautiful
there.
little girls is gonna have, like, I don't know, whatever they have, like glasses at that point. Or, like, they're not gonna have photo albums, but whatever it is, they're
Yeah.
gonna sit down with you, and they're gonna be like moms and stuff. They're gonna be like, "Hey, Dad, I know you don't remember anything, but look at these pictures." And then you're gonna be like, "Oh man, I'm sure glad that I was all cranky about picture time."
Right, right. How I would like to know what the picture to delete ratio is though for most people, because mine is pretty fucking high, and I'm guessing others as well. Considering all the pictures that we're taking, there's no way we're keeping all those pictures.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
excessive.
I come from a family that took lots of pictures before they were on digital devices,
Uh,
and subsequently there are tons of albums.
okay.
And I thought it was a waste of time and money at the time too, but I had a moment. I was at my folks' house and they brought out a bunch of albums, and I was like, ah, man, totally forgot about all that shit.
Well, here's the deal, man. Is I'm trying to look at this tiger, right? We're at this wild animal park. This place, they have this new like tiger area that they've made. It's very expensive, and it's very apparently so. It's apparent so. They had worked very hard on this thing. So far as prisons are concerned, this is the coolest prison I've ever experienced. So,
Did you get butt raped by the tiger?
no, but there was three tigers, and you could get so close to them, man. Pretty goddamn close.
So you
But
almost got butt raped by the tiger.
no, but they definitely could.
But
Like
was it such a classy occasion that you would have like been cool with getting butt raped by the tiger?
it depends
Only if your
because
in-laws had a camera.
right, right. And how
That would have.
private is the occasion? I'm not exactly gonna jump all out there, but I'm not, completely against tigers. I don't know where I'm going with this. Let's just keep going.
So,
Anyway,
anyways,
okay. We all want to look at the tigers. Everyone wants to look at the tigers, right? The only problem is, in order to look at this tiger, you've got to disrupt everybody's pictures, and anytime you get a good time, like the tiger gets really close, it's like a mad race for people to get selfies. So that means you don't even get to see the tiger when it gets close, because you lose every time you're going to disrupt somebody's picture. It's a madhouse over there.
yeah.
Stop it with the goddamn pictures, everybody. I'm at my wife's graduation, right? I took my kids, my in-laws are with us. We're all dressed up real nicely, and they have a large stage that they've done a really good job of decorating. There's sunflowers everywhere. It's really bright. It's beautiful. People start taking pictures right in front, maybe one or two, which is pretty considered. You take a picture. You want to take a picture maybe with your parents and your kids and all that. You mix it up a little bit. It takes a little bit. Happened to be one family of Asian people. I'm just saying, I want to throw it out there. It just seems to me Asian people seem to like that camera a little more than most.
Yeah.
It's a large generality. I realize that there are probably Asians that don't.
Way to
But
alienate an entire demographic, Nate.
exactly. But I'm just saying, go to Disneyland and prove me wrong. Anyway,
I don't go to Disneyland. You know what I mean? Child molesters live in Anaheim.
I don't.
Look on
But
what's that? Sarah's Law or whatever the website.
Sarah's law.
Dude, I'm not joking.
Megan's
Go whatever website it is that does the free, like, check out your neighborhood child molester website, registered sex offenders.
mm,
Go to that website and zoom in on Disneyland and then back up.
Kind of
It looks
scary.
like Google Maps got chicken pox.
Right. Wow.
So, be
That's
advised.
scary in a weird way.
I don't know where I was going with anything. We started
Yeah.
with taps. You fucked me all up.
Actors are child molesters. That's what you said. Or failed actors, maybe.
Well, you know, Hollywood in
That's what I
general.
heard. Anyway, um, so there happens to be an Asian family standing in front of this beautiful stage. We wait for them. We figure, oh, one or two pictures. You're gonna get grandma in there. You're gonna get your brother and her girlfriend. No, the half hour of selfies, group pics, any number of combinations. It was it was like nobody else existed, and they owned the goddamn. Like the stage was set particularly for this one woman to have her family have a large photo shoot. It was a madhouse.
Well, I hope you were a good American and took all your clothes off and did something ridiculous.
If only I was so brave.
Well, you're probably with your in-laws.
I was.
Well, what a what a good way to show patriotism, I think.
Right.
But
So, in that respect, I would like to remember to maybe
yeah, I don't think
remember a
that had
little.
anything to do with Memorial Day.
Yeah, remember? No, it doesn't. But well, it does in the sense that we're trying to make memories, right?
Yeah.
Trying to make memories, but in
Well, okay.
trying to make these
I'm gonna
memories,
stop you right there. I don't
right.
even know where your train of thought is going, but I'm gonna stop you right there, and I'm gonna say that Memorial Day. Yeah, I think Terminal Lance actually had the best comic strip about this. It was like
Mm-hmm.
you had one guy that was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna go party and get wasted, and have all these barbecues and enjoy the beach." And you had another guy, and he's like, "Yeah, well,
Right.
I'm gonna spend the whole weekend berating everyone on the internet for not remembering the true essence of Memorial Day." And then out of nowhere, the ghost of Chesty Puller shows up and tells him the business, and you know, it says a bunch of racist things, which is hilarious. But I don't know, man. I have this relationship with Memorial Day where I'm like very compelled to kind of be a little more somber than I might be if that's possible. I don't know. But I'm compelled to that. But at the same time, I don't want it to get lost on anything other than what it's meant to be. So, again, we've touched on like the club, the tribe of veteran culture, and I think that our entire motivation for even doing this, doing a podcast and putting it out to the world for the 6 people that might listen, I don't know. The whole point was that the tribe is not being recognized like enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, Not that we should all spend our time like going, oh man, veterans, yeah, wow, we wouldn't get anything done.
Right.
But I don't know, man. Day like Memorial Day and the relationship of the violence inherent in culture and democracy and all these things that we claim to be valuable, yet you turn on your phone and you look at all this dumb bullshit. So then of course there's an adverse reaction to the cultural conversation from veterans, because it's like, oh yeah, well that's just what you're supposed to do. But
Mm-hmm.
then as a veteran you see an entire country taking it for granted. And so as the veteran community shrinks, um, and media and phones and all this other crap, as they increase, as the money making system for telling you what to think increases, veterans are going to get more and more pissed off. And it's important. I don't know, where am I going with this?
Well, you kind of brought it around to where I was going. And that
Oh,
was, I think we're taking these experiences for granted in our effort to capture them.
right.
And not only are we taking our experiences for granted, we're taking our kind of our consideration for others' space and others' experience and others' memories, we're taking those for granted
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
weird way, and taking these pictures and being obtrusive.
Well, every day we take everything for granted, you know?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I read a column by some local writer not too long ago. He's like, of course, we have to take things for granted. We couldn't make a ceremony out of starting our car every morning, you know? Because then we'd be late for work every day. He's
Right.
like, you know, I mean, it's a miracle that this car starts. If you think about it, all the moving pieces that make the car start, and not to mention the engineers and history, and I mean, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff that went into making that car work. The gasoline, they got drilled out of the fucking core of the earth. Somebody had to make that happen. Yet you get in your car and you start it, it's like no big deal. So I mean, yeah, we're all gonna take things for granted to a certain point.
Right, right.
Um, so my bad.
That's all right. I'm glad we always bring it around, man. We always bring it around. Well, I gathered a couple stories. They're kind of lighthearted, little unique, and I thought we could kind of remember some points from the past in military history that I found was kind of funny, in an effort to bring a little I guess, lightness or humor to this Memorial Day holiday. We want everyone. So let me say this off the to continue and really try to remember what this Memorial Day holiday is for. Remember those who have come before you and allowed us to serve in the military in the years that we did,
Yeah.
and
Well,
allowed us to become part of this club. So.
yeah, it was like Chesty Puller in that comic strip. Like, he appears to these guys, and he says, "What would your brothers want you to do? Would he want you to hole up on the internet all day and berate all the Facebook people having barbecues for not appreciating, or would he want you to go out and have a barbecue?" And I think it was something like, "Find some big-bootied Negro girls," or something. And it's like, wow, that was really racist. So, Chesty, he came from a different time, man.
Right. Different time.
If you guys haven't seen it, look it up. It's awesome.
Yeah, maybe Terminal Lance, man. Good guy, funny guy.
Yeah, you should
I
be
don't
on
know
our
him
show.
personally. You should.
Yeah.
So the first story is a little excerpt. It shows a real. I don't know if this is a case of just kind of being in the right place, the right time, of luck, situational awareness. What this is, but there was a lieutenant commander. This is off a Huffington Post article, kind of talking about some unique stories that had taken place in the military that maybe we've forgotten. And again, all these links will be posted in the show notes. So if you want to continue on with this article, it is from a number of years ago, but considering our topic, still very adequate. Lieutenant Commander Robert Gehring, he was a Coast Guard lieutenant commander. He was aboard the USS Duane, was swept off his ship by what was described as a mountainous wave during a storm. The ship was turned around to rescue him when suddenly another wave tossed him back on board to safety. Lieutenant Commander Robert W. Gehring, you are possibly the luckiest man to ever join the Coast Guard. Man!
I just hope that when he got swept back on board, like whatever other sailors, he's an officer, yeah. So, like whatever other sailors might have, fared it a little better or something, or still holding on, and like he gets swept off the ship, and they're like, "Oh shit, where did Lieutenant Commander go?" And then another wave comes in and brings him back on board. He just stood up and like lit a cigarette, and, like walked away. Like, yeah.
That was supposed to happen. But,
yeah, no, I had this worked out with God years ago. You know, God owes me a favor. You know, no, it's like my our battalion commander. It's similar, maybe
Mhm.
not at all, but our battalion commander when we were in Iraq, I think it was like within the first, I don't know, a week or two that we were actually, feet in country. Most of us were still in the wire, but he went on this like census patrol and mounted convoys, everything like that. I don't know what he was doing, but he's on a convoy
Mhm.
and he's chilling in a up armored Humvee, and he got vehicles in front and back doing what they do, and they're driving along, and you know, Mooj up in a perch somewhere pulls out his RPG. Of course, they all know who's in what rigs. Like you don't hit the first rig. You hit kind of in the middle or towards the rear, not the first or last rig. Kind of a deal. Fires the RPG
Mhm.
for whatever reason. Knows exactly what rig battalion commander's in. Who's important. The
Right.
RPG is flying, and uh, Colonel is sitting there. And the way I like to imagine the story, I'll give you how it went. He was riding shotgun. RPG hit the passenger side, front passenger side window,
Mhm.
and it shattered the window. I mean, it was thick. It's like 3-inch glass or whatever. But spiders out the window. But the RPG falls, dud, on the side of the road. It doesn't detonate. And being a guy that's following this dude, with a bunch of other people, I like to think that Colonel Kaczynski is sitting there, riding along, shotgun, doing what he does, scoping the scene. He sees the RPG heading his way, like moments before, the trail and everything. He sees it, it's coming his way. And he just puts his hand up to the window and says, no. you know? You still there?
I'm
Hello?
sorry. I'm here. I accidentally switched the hit my switch to mute. That was a
Well,
unlucky coincidental.
we can edit that
Anyway,
out. But anyways,
yeah.
in the end, Colonel Kaczynski remains, if for many reasons, a hero in my brain because he pulled a Neo on an RPG.
Right.
He told
I,
it not to, and it listened.
right. What I said when it was muted, I don't know if you heard, was yeah, he totally froze the matrix for a second.
He did. He could freeze the Matrix just with his eyes.
I can think of a few people in my military career who kind of had that weird aura about them that were very experienced, and you've only really heard the whispers of how he survived some of the most amazing situations. And these people, I remember just kind of these people would walk in the room, and silence would fall. Almost this uh, superhero, or
Right.
again, I can only think of like an aura. Like he walks in the room, and like the wind rushes in, and his hair moves, and the light shows a little brighter, and everybody just gasps for a second. That's how
Right.
those characters, those
Yeah,
people.
he was definitely one of them.
Right.
And I don't remember much about like the period, but I wouldn't be able to recount details the same way I would like if I was out last night and something funny happened. I don't know, but I did chime in and listen to him call in Artie Fire on Donkey Island in Ramadi, and
Ooh.
just to hear his voice, hear the way that he called that in. I mean, just so calm and collected, you know.
Right.
And I mean, there was a point where it's like, okay, whoever was talking, yeah, lot of fire got dropped. Don't see much of anything going on. Should we, what should we do? And then the colonel's like, when we give it another go, I don't want anything moving out of there at all. Like, yeah, that's the ticket. Just for good measure.
Right.
I don't know.
Wow.
And then but I mean, that's the kind of thing that legends are made out of. You watch
exactly.
these movies and stuff, and yeah, the movies are bullshit, and they're parlaying second, third, fourth, fifth hand information a lot of times, but but I mean, at least that's where they begin. That's where the legends start. Is just people like that. I had another another staff sergeant, and he was one of those people. And I mean, I could tell you a lot of funny anecdotes, and some heavy duty stuff about him. But in my head, in my imagination, he was one of these people, and the way that he talked, he was all that was Marine. He was all that you wanted to ever have to follow in your life, not just like in combat. Like he just tells you what to do, and you're going to be okay. And because of that, you're going to follow this dude anywhere. And the scenario I always like give people when I'm talking about legendary figures is, let's say hypothetically, you're on this like jungle hill or something, and it's just you and him. And this is the way it goes for me, Staff Sergeant. He leans over to me and he says, "Doc, let me tell you something. You see that hill? There's 100 enemy on that hill, and they've got all kinds of shit, and blah, blah, blah." It gives you the sit rep, and you're going, okay, fuck, okay, yeah. And he says,
is this memory in black and white?
Maybe. It could be. Take your pick.
For emotion's sake.
Yeah. Black and white. Let's
Everybody make this picture in black and white, yeah.
Yeah. Here's a black and white photo. He says, moving picture. He leans over to you and says, this is the situation. We're grossly outnumbered, and all we have is this 9mm with 8 rounds and this K-bar. I'm going to take the 9mm. Doc, you take this K-bar. We are going to take this hill. Do you understand me? Like I'm popping too. Aye, Staff Sergeant! Let's do this shit!
Parade rest in the field and shit.
Yeah, dude. No, just you just go. Just go. Because people like that, man, they're that good.
Right, inspiring. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Those people it's almost like to disappoint them is a failure.
Yeah. To disappoint them is worse than death.
Right.
Like the shame that you would feel and live with for the rest of your life is worse than actually dying. That might sound dramatic, but anyways.
No, I was talking to somebody the other day about what makes a good leader, and I was trying to get across to him the idea of being a good leader by being able to get people to do what you need them to do or want them to do, not by fear or force, but by simply them wanting to please you and fear of disappointing you.
Yeah.
In a weird way. That's what a leader is. And some of the best leaders I've ever come across was those that were friendly and almost like friends, but to disappoint them would break my heart. Essentially, would create an irreparable wave in our relationship that I just couldn't have because I needed this person to see me in a particular light.
And I kind of have the opposite, and this is all everyone's idea of leadership. I kind of had the opposite. Like the leaders that I reference, and I've been among many, but these two in particular, you knew you could never be like close with them because they're so much better than you,
Right.
And they also maintain that. And the staff sergeant that I'm talking about, I learned a really brilliant lesson from him when I was a boot. And I was telling a senior guy at some point, uh, like, yeah, man, God, I mean, I love this guy. Like, I totally follow him anywhere. I don't think he likes me that much, but it doesn't really matter because that was the kind of relationship, you know. It was very professional, and
Right.
then there were little moments that we got this other, you know, human side and the sense of humor and everything like that. But it was still reserved. Like his sense of humor when he shared it didn't give you a license to be his buddy. You know what I'm saying? Because there's
Right.
work to do. There's like shit that needs to be done, and we can't be friends because we have shit to do.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
And
it does.
and so he would not let his leadership become vulnerable to like being buddies with at least me. Um,
Right.
and so, anyways, I said that to somebody, and I was you know, being like a little shitty boot, going, yeah, I think he's awesome. I think he thinks I'm a dirtbag or doesn't like me a bit, but you know, whatever. So one day I'm in the barracks doing my thing, probably, you know, looking at porn, and I get this beating on the door. And anyone that knows the beating I'm talking about, it's that like, you need to get the fuck out of bed and get to the door right now because someone that outranks you is here. We got important things to deal with. So I'm going, okay. So jump out of bed. I hear it. Open the door, and it's well, at the time he was a sergeant, but you know, I see him, and I of course get a parade rest. You know, sergeant, what can I do for you? And you know, whatever the fuck I said. And he says, Doc, what's the shit I hear about? I don't like you. So I'm totally taken back. Sergeant, I just, you know, I get the impression you're not a real big fan of me, and you know, whatever. I shit myself and forgot who I was. And listen. It's like, listen to me. There isn't a single motherfucker in this whole platoon that I don't like. You understand? I like everybody here. We've got shit to do, and if I come across Kurt, that's because there's shit to do. So shut the fuck up. And then
Right.
he slams the door, and I'm sitting there going, I think he just said he likes me. Yay!
Yeah, that's validating.
Yay me! He
Right.
really likes me.
Oh man. Well, I guess what we get out of this story is that we're lucky, not as lucky as Robert Gehring, but we're lucky to have individuals and leaders in our lives who can give us our example that we need of how to
one,
lead individuals.
one more little
Right, go
bit
for it. Yeah,
about that
please.
guy in particular, just because I love this so much. Um, while we were there, he got shot, and
Ugh.
I mean, it was epic. Like he got shot, and according to legend, like I said, I wasn't there, but what I heard is after he got shot, he took out three other people that were trying to kill him, and maybe low crawled, maybe hobbled, whatever. He did self aid, and then found a compound, you know, the Iraqi compounds, like with the walls and shit.
Mhm.
And he got in there, and he laid in the prone, um, you know, waiting with his rifle, you know, aimed at the gate. And so, um, and another legend, who knows if it's true or not, I haven't asked him, but according to everybody else, he made QRF, quick reaction force. When they showed up, they followed the trail of blood to find him, and when they found him, he made them pass and call before they walked through the gate. I mean, badass, right?
Right.
So he gets medevaced, gets back home, didn't see him the rest of the pump. Really bummed out about that. But we all get home, and shortly after we get home, there's a Marine Corps ball to attend. So I attend, and I'm wearing my Cracker Jacks amongst all these dress blued Marines, and I get to see him, Staff Sergeant. And he's got a cane still, but I see him, he's standing next to his wife, and I shake her hand and like mildly drunk, give him a big hug, and he's got his cane and everything. I say, Staff Sergeant, your wife, she's pregnant. She was pregnant. She has a baby bump.
Right.
Congratulations. I mean, you've been busy since you've been home, man. Way to go. Saying whatever I say. And he says, yeah, yeah. And I go, do you know what it is? Is it a boy or a girl? And he goes, it's a boy. You can't even see him in the ultrasound. His dick's so fucking big.
That's the umbilical cord, bro.
No, no. That was Staff Sergeant's son's dick.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I saw him.
So we also learned that Staff Sergeant's son is lucky to be packing what he's packing.
Yeah, well, he got it from his old man, I'll tell you
Right.
that.
Well, on that, I think that's your Staff Sergeant is a great example for our next individual. His off this Huffington Post article, his name is Bob Whelan, and in 1969, he lost both of his legs in Vietnam to a landmine while trying to save a fellow soldier. Now, in 2000, I'm sorry, in 1986,
Whoa,
this
whoa.
gentleman,
That's a big jump.
right, and this gentleman, you'll see why I made the clerical error here in a sec,
Okay.
walked 2,000 miles from California to the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. on his knuckles.
Whoa.
Whoa! What? That's
Whoa.
ridiculous.
That's hardcore.
That is hardcore. So, 2,000 miles on his hands. Guy
Yeah.
doesn't even have legs.
Right.
Right. I live 100 yards away from a store. I drive every single time I'm going to go get groceries.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am.
You should be.
So ashamed I shall drive to the store and drink myself to death.
Better yet, how about tomorrow? You walk to the store on your fucking knuckles, you pussy.
Right. Penitent. So that, to me, that's the story of persistence. I will remember Mr. Bob Weiland for his commitment to his goal to walk 2,000 miles from California to the Vietnam Memorial. So, Mr. Bob Weiland, you are quite the man in my book.
Me too.
Well done. And our third story, I have, it's from a fellow soldier, and it's off a Reddit thread called Military's Craziest Stories. It's I'll, again, put the links in the show notes, but it's, there's like 50 stories, and like 20, I'll say 30 of them are pretty poor. But I tried to find one of the best ones that I could. And this particular one, I found was a good story about that I can relate to about complacency. So this actually comes, ironically, correct use, from his sign is Nate the Great. Me being Nate, the Natron Don, I can appreciate that.
Your name is way better, but anyways.
Right. So this gentleman was in the Navy for 6 years, and while he was on an aircraft carrier, they were transferring jet fuel from another ship. While transferring this, it's about 7 a.m. The ship announces that smoke has been spotted from one of the compartments. Then they announce that it's come from another, and then another. And apparently at the time, Nate the Great didn't think it was such a big deal, that it was maybe like a trash can fire. So they go to general quarters, and he sits down, and he starts talking to a friend at the table. just kind of chilling,
That's what you do in the
ignoring what's
Navy.
going on. Right. There's a fire. That's the fire
Let's
on
have a
ship.
cup of coffee and figure it
I've
out.
never been on. Yeah, I've never been on ship, but apparently fires happen. It's a kind of a occurrence, you know. I mean, we're trained, we're ready. It's the only real naval training that I really remember is fighting a fire. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, one time I was on a ship that was concrete into the ground, and then one time I fought a fire. That's the extent of my actual sailing experience as a sailor. So, uh,
Well,
anyway.
yeah, right.
So this guy's general or experience on this aircraft carrier is kind of maybe lost on me a little bit, but I could get with the
So there's a fire.
there's a fire. They go to
Yeah.
general quarters or battle stations or whatever you call it. You go to general quarters. He thinks this is just kind of a small fire. He's sitting at a table with a friend talking. He's sitting there for a couple hours when he realizes that maybe we shouldn't still be at general quarters. If we're still at general quarters, something may be going on. So he goes to check what's going on. Turns out everyone's wearing oxygen masks and firefighting gear. So in his mind, he goes, oh shit, this is pretty serious. So he puts on his gear and they start fighting the fire. Apparently for a moment he thought that it was possible that they were not going to get out of this alive. It turns out somebody had been smoking in a closet where they're storing paint and paint thinner, volatile chemicals, and started a fire. Now, this is important because the wiring for the reactor backup generators melted, and
Oh, bummer.
if both the reactors were lost, the emergency generators would not have come on, and they would have
Man.
been essentially dead in the water
Well,
with the
yeah,
fire on the ship.
yeah.
So essentially in a shitstorm of trouble, you know. So one of the reactors shut down. The other one apparently lost something called coolant loops, whatever
Mm.
that is.
This is all Navy stuff.
Right. And apparently the person to save the day was that day's watch officer. He said he deserves a goddamn medal because without his quick thinking, there's almost no way he would have kept the ship afloat.
And what did
The
he do?
cap, I don't. It doesn't say.
Oh,
The,
he just got general quarters called, maybe.
just general quarters. Apparently, it doesn't say exactly. It's this guy's story. It doesn't say exactly what he did, but apparently the watch officer was quite the hero that day. But the skipper of the ship apparently ended up getting fired, and the sailor who was in charge of the ventilation space, the little closet space, got kicked out of the Navy. So that's quite the story. And then to add some nice little pointers to his story, he puts two article links to articles by Navy.mil and Stripes.com or Stars and Stripes regarding this particular incident. So it's quite the story.
Corroborate. There was a fire on the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah. I want to hear some of these stories about these guys that get fired for, shacking hookers in their captain's quarters and all that.
Right.
Like,
Well,
where's all those stories?
I don't think that was such a big deal, right? Like that's not such a big deal until the CIA started going to Colombia and getting hookers.
I don't know. There was a guy. I can't. I got holes in my brain today. I'm having another kid.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's like a guy that had the lock on all of Southeast Asia, and I don't know, bunch of skippers were getting fired for, getting kickbacks and getting fancy hotels for running stuff through this guy. I don't know. I want to hear some of those details, man.
Absolutely. Well, I guess what I got from this story is that it's important to kind of remember those individuals in my life to continue to inspire me. Those individuals who I have seen
Well,
perform at an outstanding level.
and that's a
And
really great point because really, man, you bring up a good point, and we'll have to give a nod to our Blue Side Navy
mhm,
because they really do exemplify that teamwork spirit, you know. And it hasn't, I don't know how long it's been since there was like actual ship to ship, combat, but you hear all the good old school, sailor stories about ship to ship or whatever combat from like the
mhm,
World War II guys, and I had one that was sitting in my office talking about that. And it's something that tends to be overlooked in today's Navy, in that, in terms of this large mission accomplishment idea, there isn't one person that keeps the ship afloat. Like, yeah, there's a captain, there's the skipper, and yeah, they're in command and they give orders, but it's a whole trickle down teamwork process. And
right.
everything that happens on board a ship is in service of mission accomplishment. And so when you have a fire, yeah, that's a big fucking deal, because
Mhm,
steel and compartments and closed off areas that don't really get good oxygen, and I mean,
right.
like, you lose a significant part of the ship, you lose everybody on board.
Mhm,
And I think that's something that, in our kind of Hollywood style rhetoric and observation. Yeah, everyone wants to hear the war story about the individual that just, lived up and did their thing. But, you have something like that in the Navy. There might not be one person that everyone can point to and say, yeah, man, he ran into, hail of gunfire and did X, Y, and Z.
right.
It's everybody's small contribution that adds to this great success, that the ship didn't burn down and there wasn't a nuclear meltdown in the middle of whatever ocean on
And I
account
hope
of
that's
some dickbag smoking cigarettes in the paint locker.
right. And I hope that's something we're getting across on this show on VetLine Radio is this continued appreciation, not just for um, combat fighters and war fighters. I think that's something that our general media has really come to appreciate a little too heavily. But there's like 80% of the rest of the military that's performing tasks that allow those individuals to perform their jobs at such a high proficiency and such a high uh, standard of performance. And so I hope that maybe VetLine Radio reminds those individuals that they are appreciated and that their work has not fallen on deaf ears and was not in vain, and that it is very much appreciated by those individuals who uh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Keep the
Um,
fucking boat afloat,
right, who have come to like rely on those individuals
or
or
whatever.
came to rely. Right,
Like, keep all these planes running,
absolutely.
out of a squadron, sweep the floors of the hangar bay. I mean, so
Mm,
dust doesn't get where it shouldn't be. I don't know.
absolutely.
Everyone has a job to do, and
Hmm.
everyone's a part of something much larger than themselves. And our generation, at least, comes from a place that you had to say, yeah, I want to do that. There
And I
wasn't
always,
anyone telling you you have to do that. Like,
mhm,
it was an all volunteer force, and here you are.
right. And
I,
I really come to appreciate those individuals, like really good customer service. You know what I mean? Like those individuals who approach their job, and maybe it's not the most glamorous of jobs, or maybe they're just pushing papers or whatever they're doing. But when it comes to that job, they seem to have that bit of vitality and
right,
energy that nobody else in the department has. They seem to maybe not be particularly excited about the subject, but are excited to have a job to take pride in.
right.
And those people really always seem to stand out. Like, in my eyes, and I would inspire me greatly, and still do. I could think of a number of faces, individuals who've really made an impact. I couldn't even tell you their names, but their energy and the way that they ran their shop and they did their job and took ownership
Right.
really is inspiring. It still holds uh, quite a bit of weight in my memory banks and how I want to approach my jobs
Yeah.
and my work.
I
So
remember a
those
handful of the cooks at the barracks at Naval Hospital, Camp Pendleton. I mean, there was like six of these dudes. They were like all
right,
Filipino, and they were so gnarly about the chow hall. You know what I mean?
right,
And like they were the most aggro guys. Like if you dropped ice in the ice machine after whatever you're getting your drink, and maybe some fell on the floor, like one of these guys was going to come up and chew your ass for fucking up his chow hall.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that guy's a hero in a odd way. And
Mhm.
I think is it Patton. We all know the Patton intro from the film, but like if you read the whole speech, he talks about uh, a hero, like the greatest hero that he ever knew, in at least in the speech, was a guy that was like hooking up some comm lines, and he was on like an elevated position, and there was fire that was coming through. In the speech he's saying, I said to this private or whatever, hey, isn't that a little bit dangerous place to be? And the private yells back, yeah, but who's gonna fix it? I've got to fix it, you know.
Right.
And this guy's just doing, connecting wires together, keeping the comm lines open, because that's crazy important. Like that
Right.
has to happen, and without that guy making that happen, he, there's no glory for that. There's no crazy war story and dodging bullets and superhuman strength. It's one person, a part of a bigger picture, that's doing their job and doing it
Mm.
good and being proud.
We kind of joked about taking things for granted a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think we could definitely put that in this. Put those individuals, the logistical individuals, the administrative individuals, uh, could definitely put them in that category. Those
Right.
individuals who we expect good performance because that's what it's always been, and
Right. Right.
um,
Yeah,
and
grunts get really bent out of shape about this stuff.
mhm,
It's like everyone else is a pogue, person other than grunt.
mhm,
And the rhetoric of grunts, I mean, I love it. I've got a soft spot in my heart for it. But you know, at the same time, grunts have a tendency to take all that for granted, because somebody's got to do all of that shit in order for them to be grunts.
right,
So
absolutely.
it's a huge thing, and that's awesome part about having had the privilege to serve.
Mhm. Awesome.
Right.
So I guess in summary, those of you who are doing your job and those who have done the job, thank you and continue, or please uh, be remembered, and I hope we can follow in your example. The next story, we have quite a few. We're kind of running, we're doing some time here, man.
Oh yeah, I see that.
This is good. Gives a spotter to edit.
Yeah.
make make a much better podcast for our listeners. More material, the more likely it'll be good. So this is from an article that I found um, on a site called Kazaz, and it's odd stories from World War II. And so I found two stories. Again, the link will be in the show notes. But I found two stories I want to discuss that I found really unique and interesting. The first was titled "The Battle of Los Angeles," and this took place on the 24th and 25th of February, 1942. What it was After an unexplained lights in the sky by a lost weather balloon, American forces mistook those lights as enemy aircraft. And so, two separate forces in Los Angeles spent 2 nights pummeling the air with rounds of ammunition as each base thought that the other was Japanese bombers. So shortly, the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox, admitted to the public that it was a false alarm. Although now there seems obviously there's a lot of conspiracy theories and such that we were actually firing extraterrestrials. It was in fact really horrible intelligence by our United States military.
That'll happen.
So that happened at times. It's funny. To
Bad
me,
intel, man.
bad intel. We thought, we thought. Battle of Los Angeles. But actually, in another story, while I was researching this just came to mind. I don't remember exactly where I saw it. While experimenting with different weapons at the time in World War II, the Japanese did in fact tie explosives to weather balloons
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
and
Anyone
drifted
that's
them.
been through my hometown at Ripley's Believe It or Not
Hmm.
knows very well this story. They fucking flew, yeah, like hot air balloons with
Hmm.
ordnance hanging off the bottom,
Exactly.
and none of them, ever did anything for the most part, right? But it
Hmm.
was actually here in Oregon. One of them
Oh wow, I didn't know
fell.
that.
Yeah, one of them
That's
fell. It
crazy.
was like outside of Crater Lake or somewhere by Crater Lake. I feel like Southern Oregon.
Hmm.
And there was a family that was out having a fucking picnic and stumbled on it, and someone was messing around. I think it was like 5 people or something got killed. And it was pretty much this whole family. And I
That's
think
not
the
a laugh. I
dad,
don't know why I laughed. That's not a
yeah,
laugh.
like, well, yeah, I have the same problem. Makes for awkward situations. But yeah, this whole family, except for like the dad, all got taken out by this you know bomb balloon that had fallen, and the government didn't want the Japanese to think that their operation with the hot air balloons was a success, so they didn't, they put the pressure on the media to not, publicize it and everything. But yeah, hot air balloons, man, they were doing
Very
that shit,
interesting.
right?
So, although bad intel, it was not unfounded, information.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it
No,
is
I mean,
funny.
well, and yeah, bad intel.
Yeah, we find. I mean, we make mistakes, and that's what I get from this: is that life is full of mistakes,
Well, war
And
is full of mistakes. I mean, there's mistakes everywhere you go. You can't do everything all the time perfect.
mhm,
But if you're gonna fuck up amazingly. You know,
exactly.
that's what irritates. I won't get on that. Anyways, if you're
Well, I
gonna
guess in
fuck
this
up,
case,
stick to it.
right.
And fuck up good.
And also make sure that when you fuck up, that it's founded. It's that especially if you're gonna fuck up in this sense, it's founded on something. Like I messed up because was my idea, and I could appreciate the fact that they said that we thought we were being attacked. We did what we thought was right based on some of this really horrible intel and this idea we thought, but
But there's
we were
so many things. There's so many things, like so many moving parts that
right.
the intel and everything that was happening. What else would you do? That kind of
Exactly.
thing.
I
And
could
and
only imagine the pressure.
and if we'll see, maybe I won't live as long to find out. But I'll say this: that my contribution in the military might find itself on the not so favorable end of history. And if that be the case, and somebody, maybe my kid, maybe my kid's teachers, I don't know, dude, someone down the road
Hmm.
asks me, how do you feel about what you did or being a part of what you were a part of? I'll say, I wouldn't have done it any fucking different. And that's what I want every veteran to feel like, you know?
Mhm.
Is like, even if you find yourself on the bad side of history, the negative side, who gives a shit? You did your
Right.
job.
Yeah.
There's no reason to feel bad about anything. You didn't make a mistake. You served your country.
Right.
And yeah, that.
That's a strange dynamic I think a lot of people don't see because the idea of quitting one's job seems almost uh, frivolous and easy. Like every job in the civilian world always has this air about being almost temporary. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I want to enter this career, but every time you enter a job, it's not. And this is not. It's a feeling that I get from my friends. Is that when you enter the job, it's not like a. It's not you're like you're there. You're sacrificing a piece of your life. It's like you're. Like, I guess there's no loyalty. This doesn't seem like there's a lot of
Yeah.
loyalty.
You're just paying the bills, man.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and I don't know, like looking at Facebook like I do. I wish I didn't, but
I'm judging.
well, and I see like both sides of it. You
Hmm.
see the loyal, and then you
Absolutely.
see the not so loyal, or not really getting the things that the loyal might get, or I don't know. You see this conflict, and then you see how the polarization happens, and
Hmm.
it happens from a place of rhetoric. Some people are trying to say one thing, other people are trying to say another thing, and then a wedge gets lodged between them, and they become polarized. And at the end of the day, you know, like we're all human.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not Dalai Lama or anything, but
That's good. I don't think we'd be as good of friends if you were the
well,
Dalai Lama.
I don't.
He doesn't
Yeah,
seem that cool.
I think he seems pretty cool, but
He's not exactly a guy you could sit down in a bar and have a drink with.
he might be. You just don't know. You don't know about that guy.
You don't know. I guess
But
so.
I don't know, man. Everything's in my the way I see it. Everything's connected, and you can see like the connection in the points of view between two opposing, you know, two opposing groups.
Hmm.
I wish I could come up with a good example to illustrate that, but I'm a little tired and a little drunk. But yeah, I don't know. Like we all want to support our law enforcement. Like
Right.
I've got a I'm real kind of akin with law enforcement. Yet I can still kind of see how certain cross sections of society become alienated from law enforcement, right?
Absolutely.
And so does that mean I'm anti-law enforcement? No, man. These guys are doing something too. I mean, I've kind of done it too. I've kicked in someone's door at 3 in the morning that probably didn't want me there, and been a part of that.
Hmm.
Do I feel bad about it? Fuck no. But I mean, I see that one side right here has a job to do, and then you have another side right here that is not cool with that,
Right.
and I get that too. Like,
Hmm.
if someone kicked my door in at 3 o'clock in the morning, with my kids, and they had guns and all kinds of shit, I'd be mad as hell. But I wouldn't go burn down the Walgreens or anything. But that's just me.
Right. Right.
Oh, we could
So
edit all that out.
we can do whatever we want. This is our show.
But anyways,
It's funny because when I'm reading about this, I feel like I have like 1,000 jokes on each story, and
yeah,
then when I'm talking about them, it just so happens that humor seems to miss me a bit.
humor's missing me all night tonight. We started with taps. If I've
Right.
been funny, I can assure the audience it's entirely on accident.
Right. Oh man, I need to stop saying that. That's a bad habit as well. You need to just stop saying right arbitrarily. That's a bad. That could lead to bad things.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm exhausted. I'm
Well,
exhausted from thinking.
right. It does take energy.
Dude,
Willpower takes energy.
yeah.
Speaking of willpower, let's talk about another story from
Oh,
this particular article, this Kazaz article, and this is talking about Japanese holdouts. So after the Battle of Los Angeles, we know that there was no actual Japanese involved with that. However, there were some Japanese troops who continued to fight the war, the Great War, the Second Great War, World War II, for as much as 29 years after
yeah.
the war ended. So these troops are mostly located in remote areas and had not heard of the surrender yet, or
Didn't
apparently,
believe it.
yes, did not believe it and continued to fight, earning the name holdouts. In one particular case, there was a soldier, his name was Hiru Onoda. He kept fighting on an island in the Philippines for 29 years, killing around 30 locals after the war's end. He
Yep.
himself dismissed and dropped some leaflets that had been dropped announcing the war's termination, and then finally reintegrated into society in this is crazy in 1974.
Mm,
1974.
yep.
That is so. It's madness.
Nah. I mean, yeah, but, you
I
know,
mean, considering that the war ended in 1945, right?
just shouldn't we all be so brave?
Shouldn't we all? Again, in a weird way, how fucking inspiring is that?
Yeah.
What kind of loyalty? The balls on that guy. The ball. I mean, tiny Asian penis, but the balls on that guy.
Yeah, man. I
20. I mean,
I saw a thing
30.
on I saw a thing online about that guy, and yeah, what do you say?
What do you?
There's really no words.
There's no words. He was our enemy, and I may start a T-shirt line named after him. I don't know. Guy is God. He's my newfound hero in a weird way. Like, how do
Well,
I find that kind of heart, that loyalty, that commitment to just commit and sacrifice?
well, if you
Am
have to ask,
I right? Am I that soft? It makes me question very, very large empty gaps about me that, oh man,
you
does
know
not feel
that
good.
I mean, there's an enemy still. I don't know if we're ready to get into that, but there is an enemy that exists,
There is.
and they are gaining ground, and their dedication seems to be pretty heavy duty. I don't think that's anything that we've ever like graced on in the
Right.
public rhetoric.
Hmm.
That our enemy is very much alive and very much motivated, and and it's just something to keep in the back of your head
Right.
for the six people listening.
For all six of us.
Yeah, they are motivated.
And committed.
Yeah, very much so.
Very much.
I'm sure that we've at least all read about people strapping themselves up.
Mhm.
You know.
There's something a very wise man said to me one time uh, regarding marriage. And it was, he asked me a question. He said, "Hey, Nate, What's what's the key to a successful marriage? Ah, fuck, I don't know. I was like,
Oh,
love,
I remember it.
love. Is it, is it
What's the key to a
sacrifice?
successful marriage?
It
Is
has
it
to be
sacrifice?
sacrifice. It was, is it overlooking my wife's, failures in my eyes? Not failures, but the
Flaws or
particular
yeah, yeah.
flaws or things I don't like. Is that what it is? No. It's,
It's a very existential and introspective question.
yeah,
What is it?
much simpler than this. Don't get divorced. Don't get divorced, you idiots. You fucking idiots. You know? Do you want to continue to succeed? Do you want to still be married? Well, don't not be married, right?
That's it.
Are you a warrior? How much of a warrior? Are you questioning how much of a warrior you are? Like I am? Well, I guess don't stop being a warrior. You
Nope.
got to find your fight, right?
Yep.
And that's what that inspires me to do. Man, when I read that story, it shook me, man. It made me feel like I had never really committed to anything in my life ever. What would I fight for by myself for 29 years? What would I kill 30 locals for? In
Yeah.
this strange land by myself for decades.
Yep. I I got the chills.
Wow.
Well,
Mr. Hiro Onoda, I memorialize you this day.
the enemy.
You inspire me, man. Right.
Well, you gotta learn from your enemies.
You gotta learn.
If there's any way I could parlay that, let us hate our enemies less and learn more.
Mm.
What is it that we've lost? What is it that makes it easy for me to, get out and, you know, get a house and procreate and do all these things
Right.
in spite of the sacrifices that have been made? While, you know,
I
they
guess
make they make sacrifices too on their end in their own way.
absolutely.
I
And
don't like them and I don't agree with them, but
mhm.
that's not for me to project.
Right.
I can just assume that this person is way more motivated to kill me than apparently I am to defend myself.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say. Apparently, I pride myself on being a fighter, right? I've had been in a number of fights in my life. I do martial arts now. Yeah, and one of those things is the when it all comes down to it, seems to be the willingness. Whose will is gonna overcome? Whose will is gonna hold out harder? Whose wall, whose line in the sand is deeper? It's and I pride myself on being having a very solid wall and having a very deep line, and something that I'd fight for hard. And
Compare that to your enemy.
right, but
But compare
now,
that to your enemy.
right, this man makes me question my heart in anything. Uh, do I the only word that comes to mind is heart, and as a fighter, you think as a warrior of what I thought I was. This man dwarfs me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I got nothing.
Right.
I got nothing. I I'm like you. I fancy myself vigilant and moderately aware, and you know, armed well enough. But when I think about my enemy's will versus mine,
Mm-hmm.
I rely on too much to protect me that isn't me, right?
Right. Right.
I mean, I depend on it. My entire construct, my entire consciousness depends on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we think about it now, our enemies in 10 years are going to be stronger than us because
Mm-hmm.
there are children that were born in that area that have known nothing but conflict, war, and they will become warriors themselves. Some of them, and and they'll be strong
Mm-hmm.
because that's all they will have ever known.
Right.
They will organize. They will get better. We have a running joke about you know Mooj or all this kind of stuff from our perspective. But if we see from what we knew at the time that we might have been there, from what we see now, we see a much more organized, much more cohesive enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we got on this on Memorial Day, but I'm going to continue to think that my will is greater. But if I can, if I can honor our own fallen in any way, in spite of said enemy, it will be to only hope that I too can pass in the service of something great and greater than myself
Mm-hmm.
one day.
Well, and in that, to wrap this all up, a final story. This is also from the same article of the 8 odd stories from World War II. We're going to talk about, I don't know.
Can, hello?
I messed this up.
Can we stop?
So it's not from the same. Huh?
Can we stop?
You done?
Oh, dude, I'm so tired.
We got like, give me 5 minutes.
It's been like an hour and a half, man.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right.
I'm sorry, dude. I got nothing left.
Well, this actually, it's kind of good. This last part is perfect to end it. Can I end it? Give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
All right.
All right. We don't even have to wrap it up with the whole Facebook thing stuff. We could
No,
just
we
wrap.
won't. You got to edit the fuck out of this, though.
Oh yeah, dude.
I really appreciate you editing.
No, dude. It's actually not that like I wipe out a lot of my ums and a lot of the you knows that we both say. We say
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, so the last story I said real quick to wrap it all up, to inspire us to wrap it up.
Wrap it up, B.
Abraham Lincoln, right? He is famous for freeing the slaves. He had the very quintessential, awesome Gettysburg Address, which you celebrated for, over about 150 years now. Um, well, however, before he, may, maybe we've overlooked exactly the power and of his speech precisely because of how short it was. Because the person who would have opened for Abraham Lincoln, or who spoke before him, his name was Edward Everett, and he spent 2 hours delivering a speech consisting of 13,607 words. So maybe it wasn't that the Gettysburg Address was all that powerful, it was just how concise it truly was, unlike this podcast. So one of the two things I think I learned from this case is that maybe it isn't, and I'm learning. I'm still trying to do about all the knowledge and all how smart you are, how good you can argue, or how well you can debate. But it's really about how to get your idea across and then shut the fuck up.
Hmm.
So for all of us here at VetLine Radio,
No, we're not going to end it with that, Nate.
all right.
You dick.
Um, so I guess yeah. So I guess particularly for this particular case, it was that um, I like the idea of Abraham Lincoln having a short address that was so utterly and much more memorable than the man who spent 2 hours delivering a speech we could all probably snore through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nobody heard of Edward Everett. I never had. I never heard of this 2 hours that he took time to create and deliver. 13,607 words. 2 hours of people's lives that they'll never get back. And what we truly remember is the short address from a tall, lanky lawyer, right?
So, in the spirit of short addresses and tall, lanky lawyers,
Right.
let me say that to our fallen, we pour a drink to you. And to the rest of us, they get to live with the memories and the experiences and the lessons of our time in service. Let us all remember that it was good and to keep our boots laced up.
So for all of us here at VetLine Radio, and for Uncle Wit, I am the Nate Don saying, taps, taps, lights out.